drives. Well, folks, if you're after something that handles like a BMW, rides like a Mercedes, and has an interior like an Audi, then you've found it. This is the Jaguar XF. I'm Ed, and this is backroadhero. Introduced by Jaguar in 2008. This was a big departure from their original design ethos. Designed by Ian Callum, it broke the mould of the S-Type. Comes in a range of diesel and petrol, certainly for the UK and European market. Not so sure about the American market. You may well have only got petrol there, which is fairly common amongst the Jaguar Land Rover brand. I'm going to take you around the car. Going to point out differences. It's still on sale today. It just goes to show it is timeless. You buy one of these for $5 grand, stick a personal reg on it or a vanity plate, and nobody knows what you've got. This one especially in great trim. It's got the 20-inch center alloys. Those were an optional extra when the car was new. This is the XFS, the higher horsepower of the diesel engines, 275 horsepower. We'll have a look around the car. We'll show its party pieces inside. And we'll take it for a drive down the road. I'll explain what I like about it. I will explain what I don't like about it. And in the end, we'll come to some sort of conclusion. If you're after in the market for an E-Class, a 6, a BMW 5 Series, you might want to consider one of these. Best all-round car we've had in a long time. It has been a backbone of our family for about 5 years now. It's the kind of the go-to car. We're going long distances and want a bit of comfort. This is the one you want to have. So let's have a walk around and we'll get straight into it. So this is a 2009 car. It's in seal grey pearl, I believe is the colour of it. Some nice little chrome accents and stuff like that. Privacy glass at the back, and you know what? It's got this beautiful oyster over ivory interior. Just have a look at that. Perforated leather, memory seats, and lots of kit. We'll get into the inside in a minute, but right now, introduced in 2008, you had the 2.7 V6 diesels, 3-litre V6 petrols, and the 4.2-litre V8 petrols. Also, we had the SV8 as well. So really avoid the 2.7s is my best advice. If you want to go a diesel, wait until 2009 when the 2.7 became the 3-litre D. So you're looking for an 09 onwards. It was available in 2 horsepower. It's exactly the same engine, 237 horsepower and a 275S variant. This is the V6S, 275 horsepower. I would say to you, the S has its advantages in the bigger brakes, and that's kind of about it. It's exactly the same engine, so if you want to go to one of the aftermarket tuners, both of these cars can be chipped to an excess of 300 horsepower. I'm sure that's more than you ever need for your daily needs. The 237 horsepower can be chipped to 307, and the 275 can be chipped to 322 horsepower. Walls and walls and walls of torque, of course, being a reasonable capacity. A V6 diesel. It was facelifted in 2011. This is a 2009 car. You'll see the difference in the rear lights, the bumper profiles as well, and that's about it. Essentially, it didn't receive really a further uplift until the 2015 model year. What really excites me about this car as well, though, is it's available in a sport brake, effectively an estate version from 2012 onwards. And then, if you want the big horsepower one, XF RS came out in 2013. For me, though, the pick is this 3-litre V6 diesel, the XFS, and if I was being really specific, I would go for the Portfolio. This is a premium luxury. We'll get into the differences a little bit later on. So the premium luxury and the Portfolio specifications have keyless entry and keyless start, so there's just a little start-stop button in here. You can see all of the adjustments for the seats, your lumbar, your forward and back, and all the rest of it. And it's got the little memory setting down here, 2 positions. All XFs have sat-nav climate control, they all have cruise control, they all have leather, they all have park sensors, and they all came initially with 17-inch rims, although there are 20-inch Senta alloys on this one, same as the XKR actually that we have. They're a square setup here, they're the same width all round, where the XKRs have a staggered setup. They've got wider rims. The premium luxury then adds power memory seats. I've just shown you those. It's got an up-rated stereo, it's got the heated windscreen. If you go to the portfolio spec, then you add cooled seats to the heated seats. It's got a 1200 watt amp, Bowers & Wilkins I think it is, 19-inch alloys as standard, and then options include radar cruise and then digital audio broadcast for the radio, the DAB. Before we go and take it for a drive, what I want to do is show you these door seals. What we've got is, we've got a little gap filler here, we've got a full big outer seal, and then in here we've got the inner seal around the doors. This kind of triple seal system, when I close the door, you'll see there is no gap whatsoever in here. It's all tightly sealed all around, and the same is the case for the rears, this triple seal system with inner and outer seals. That all makes it hugely quiet inside, and adds to the whole serenity. Something a little bit different, a POV, a point of view thing. So lovely steering wheel. This oyster over ivory interior is absolutely the business, as they say. Rotary selector here, and as you're in, I've just got the key here. It's remote start stop, and it's pulsing away there. So let's see what happens. Foot on the brake, and you see the little rotary knob come up. So we've got reverse, neutral, drive, and then you've got to push it down to get into sport. And of course we've got the corresponding changes up here on the dash. But to be honest, drive's where you want to be. There's the manual, and it won't let you go anything more than second for starting off. You got the trip computer, little button on the side here. You can cycle through. There's the average fuel consumption. Of course, I haven't been doing this for very long. 55 miles, got 111 miles range. I love this monochrome, to be honest. It's very classy, not too glitzy. Got to get the seatbelt on, get that final warning out of the way, and we'll get it up here. So we have got on-off for the radio, you've got the track select, you've got source, and you've got your bits and pieces for the sound and the options and the bass. Of course, there's your source, and it'll just cycle through here. AM, FM, CD, portable audio. That iPod bit is interesting. See the old video up above here about how to get streaming Bluetooth into your car. Right then, so just make sure you got it down. We've got the ventilation, you can link the two. So you've got it, see the left and the right are moving at the same time. That is an option you can get through on the setup, but leave it in auto, let it do its thing. And of course, really nice thing, a lot of Jaguar Land Rovers is you've got the front and the rear demist. Front all electric, you can see a little wires in there. Electronic handbrake, you've got the auto speed limit, so if we hit that, it comes on the dash, and then you set it as you would the normal cruise control. So there you go, 45, 50, 55, 60, and there you go, there's 70 in the UK. But the limiter's cancelled. If you've got the normal cruise control at any speeds, obviously above about 30 miles an hour, you've got the cruise control, and you've got resume and cancel. Here we've got the volume, we've got the track up and down, we've got the answer the phone bit, and of course we've got the source. So there's nothing too complex here. This bit with the flag on it, we'll hit that. Dynamic mode confirmed. What I do like as well, you've got a home button here, you've got a big old hazard warning lights. I don't know why there are unlock and lock as separate buttons. Why does it not just toggle? Because the strangest thing in the world is you got your park sensor on and off up here. It seems the most ridiculous thing in the world, and of course you've got your sensors. If I put it in reverse, we've got a reverse camera here as well, check surroundings. But it's the strangest thing in the world to have the park sensors, because of course you may be fooled. So, and a lot of cars are basically on at slow speeds, but in the Jag it can catch you out. They're only on if you select reverse. They'll come on, both front and rear sensors, but if you drive up to something just normally, then you will you might likely just run into it. But you can activate the sensors above. All right, well, let's get it down the road and see where we are. It's smooth, that V6 silky smooth diesel. Let's put the foot down, do you see? Perfect. And that's not even in sport mode. So a huge reason why this car is so quiet is those triple seals. It's a little bit firm suspension wise at the lower speeds around town, but get it out onto the open road and that starts to all come into place. I have to say, I love this car a lot. If I was going on a longer journey, it would be a very, very close run thing between this and my Range Rover. The Range Rover probably has it in the luxury stakes because of the air suspension and the captain's seat. I love the twin armrests on the Range Rover seats, but this is a nice place to be. Especially in portfolio form. The portfolio gives you the suede headlining. This one's just a normal cloth, but it's still nice. It's a light one. The portfolio gives you cooled seats as well as heated seats, and sometimes on a nice hot day it's really nice for those longer journeys. So I've driven both. So I don't know whether you're hearing any background noise at all. No, I don't either. And that makes the stereo system that we've got in here sound even better. So what's it like actually living with an XF? Well, it's easy. Certainly here in the UK, even the main dealers, they've got fixed price servicing for the cars. Servicing alternates between about £350 and £450. We had the cam belt done on these. All the diesel engines have cam belts and all the petrol engines are chain driven. So if you're getting a car that's close to 100,000 miles or slightly over it, or even 10 years, which most of them are these days, certainly at the bottom end of things, check that it's had a cam belt. Not necessarily a water pump, they'll inspect that at the time, but certainly make sure it's got a cam belt done. And that certainly was around about £700, I believe, all in for that. Anyway, this is what Jaguars do best, out on the road, driving them. It's a little bit firm side, I suppose, at slow speeds, but as you get the pace up, this is where it all comes into its element. It's a nice place to sit. This car is 13 years old after all. Here's a kickdown. It's got a 6-speed automatic ZF gearbox in it. It's got flappy paddles. It does really well. It's a beautiful place to be. We got monochrome dials. We got lots of chrome accents. It's got its party piece with the vents. It's a really, really nice place to be. One drawback I would have to say is the kind of controls for those heated seats. You've got to go to the home menu every time, so if you're on the radio menu and you want to adjust anything, then it does have, heating controls as separate buttons. It's got your audio controls and your volume knob, so all the essential stuff, front, rear heated windscreens, and of course one button defrost, which is very typical of a lot of the JLR stuff. You hit one button, it comes on full, and it turns the air conditioning on as well. It does 50 miles to the gallon on a run. It's got all the power you'll ever need, 275 horsepower, and when you put your foot down, those 6 speeds of the gears may get come into its own. You don't want for anything more. If I'd one gripe, it's about the infotainment system, of course. The iPhone wasn't invented in 2007, so that's effectively the same time that this car would have been launched. Of course, it'd be in development about 4 years previous to that. There are ways, and I'll put the old link up here, to have streaming Bluetooth in this car through the iPod connection. Of course, iPods, that was modern tech back then, but of course it's a bit obsolete these days. There are ways and means to get around it, and you can listen to your YouTube audio and stream your favorite tunes and Spotify's and all the rest of it through that. So have a look at that video. A very easy install, less than 5 minutes, and it's you know what, it's probably the best modification you're ever going to do to one of these cars, just to drag it up into the modern era. Makes it perfectly usable. It does have hands-free for the phone integrated into that, but it doesn't have streaming Bluetooth. We were just one of those eras, I suppose. The later cars will have them, but the earlier cars, it's certainly one thing I would do to bring it up into the modern era. So key to these engines is service history, especially big turbo diesels. They like their regular oil changes, so make sure there's plenty of stamps in the book for that. The diesels have a cam belt, and those need changed typically every 100,000 miles, 10 years, but worth inspecting it even if a vehicle has got less than that. The petrol engines are chain driven, so less of an issue on that. Check for brakes, check for suspension components, so creaks and rattles as you drive it. Check all the electrics work, the windows as they should, the air conditioning, all the usual stuff that you would do. Try every button and switch in the car, and make no excuses about it. So then there you have it, the Jaguar XF. It's practical, it's quiet, it's fast, it's timeless, it's elegant. What other car would you think that would be introduced in 2007 that is still in production today, albeit tweaks to the infotainment and various tweaks to the bits and pieces and the engine technology? This is our go-to car if we want to go a distance, fast and comfortable, and don't have to lug big loads. Otherwise it's the Range Rover, just for sheer size and practicality. But as an all-round car in the £5,000 bracket, you really couldn't beat a Jaguar XF. I hope this has been of use to you. I've enjoyed doing it. I'll try and do more reviews of the cars that we have, straight out reviews, should you buy them, what to look for. I've done one or two previously, Maserati springs to mind, but that's more niche than the general run-of-the-mill stuff. Thanks for watching, thanks for liking, and thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. All the best now. Bye-bye.